How's he tattooing a dick on your back, Lyra?
It's a fallen soldier, bro.
Yo! Warner Bros.
Record. Man, I was fucking racing to the recording button that time.
Really?
I wasn't ready, but I'm like, I can make it in time, and I got there just in time. So.
Speaking of time, hello everyone. Welcome back
The
to
fuck
another
does that
episode
mean?
of Waffle Press Retrospective.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, because we're there's all this time. We're here to talk about Sabotage.
You're out of time. We're going to talk about Back to the Future Part 3.
I like that one. I know it's not beloved, but I like that one.
Yeah, I think I reached a point in my life where I realized I never need to watch the Back to the Future films ever again.
All right, I respect that.
I think they quickly became movies where everyone's like, they're perfect screenplays. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I am extremely aware of that.
Yeah. So that was fun.
See, I did it right, or I guess my parents did, or whoever the fuck, because I only saw Back to the Future like twice in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still like out there for me to rediscover.
Okay.
You know?
I mean, they're fine. I don't think I watched them a ton, but they were kind of like, they helped get like an introduction to time travel.
Mm-hmm.
It's
oh no, they're totally like baby's first time travel, and
Yeah.
I don't mean that like as a negative at all. It's just like that's definitely gonna be like your first experience with movie time travel,
But it's definitely like not a movie where I'm like, that's part of the canon, for me anyway.
Yeah,
Like,
I could get that. That would need to be like a rewatch for me to like solidify it.
Mhm.
But what is part of my canon?
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Actually, yes. I think that's a great film.
No, I'm not joking.
Yeah.
I was just
It's
saying, if
fantastic.
we're gonna put a fucking Zemeckis film in the canon, it's
Yeah.
fuck Forrest Gump. It's Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
It's either that or Allied.
Oh God, no.
I liked Allied so much.
Allied blew, man.
No. Anyways, what is not in most people's canon of films is Sabotage. Coming off a hot streak with Tank, End of Watch, one of the original drafts of the original Fast and Furious, which has my entire heart. David Ayer was part of Arnold Schwarzenegger's return to the big screen along with The Last Stand, which we talked about 2 weeks ago at this point now, before Scott Pilgrim, which we definitely recorded before this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the guy who brought David Ayer on board for this project.
Really?
Yeah, because he saw End of Watch and thought, what a great film. What great writing. What great talent. I want to work with that guy.
Wow.
As I restart my late era career.
Yeah. Not a great calculation. Although, fucking End of Watch was like a critical darling.
It was a critical darling. I liked it when I first saw it.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore.
Everyone was insane.
Yeah.
Like, everyone said that movie was good. Everyone was out of their fucking minds.
Yeah,
And
I was watching it last year and I was just like, no.
Yeah, I saw that shit when it came out, and I was like, no. Like,
yeah, it's a piece of shit. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, did Tank come out before this? I thought that was like the same year, but after.
Same year, but that one I know had a much smoother production. This one, David Ayer basically just doesn't really count. And,
yeah, it's a shame because it's his best movie.
It is completely his best film. We've made it clear. If you've listened to us talk about anything before, you probably know that we're not David Ayer fans.
No, we're not.
And we're saying this is his best film, which is not the case for many, many other people on planet Earth. It was a bomb. It only grossed $22 million in a $35 million budget. Schwarzenegger's performance was praised. Everyone was exhausted by the, quote, grueling violence on display. People called it morally reprehensible, a vile, disgusting film. And it might genuinely be like an exploitation masterpiece.
Yeah, it's all those reviews are correct.
Yes.
They're all right. I don't want to like downplay that those are like people like not being able to handle it. Like they're 100% that this movie is a morally reprehensible film. Like rewatching it, it was almost criminal. But it might be a schlock exploitation masterpiece.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
of just the purest kind.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I believe you told me one time that David Ayer is just talented enough to accidentally make a good film.
Yeah.
And this is the one.
Yeah, this is it. This might be it. I mean, that was the thing where I was saying, like, I saw End of Watch, I hated it, and this movie was being advertised as from the director of End of Watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not want to see it. But I was basically dragged at gunpoint to go see this movie. And I walked out and I was like, that was fucking good. Like, it was ridiculous, but it was, like, fascinating. And then, unfortunately, I think that lowered my defenses, and then I saw Tank. And, that is maybe one of the worst films I've ever seen.
I still think End of Watch is worse, because before I get into why I love Sabotage, I love Sabotage. But I want to say that David Ayer is an enemy of me. Like, I would probably fight him if I could.
Is he one of those guys though, like actually trains to fight? Like,
I don't know.
He seems like one of those insecure guys who's like just goes to boxing all the time.
Maybe he's always like sporting like military gear on his hats and clothes and stuff. And he's like,
I'll have more. I'll have more to say about that later.
Oh, I think we both will. I think it's impossible not to when it comes to David Ayer.
It's just so hysterical looking at like his filmography. He was a writer for the longest time, and it's shit like SWAT and Dark Blue. You know, like these are like almost jokes. The first Fast and Furious movie is like almost a joke. Like, it's not a real movie.
It's on the weaker spectrum of that franchise.
I've been in the middle of the rewatch. I've been going through them. So far, that's the worst one.
Oh.
I'm only 3 in though.
Okay, no, that tracks. That completely tracks.
It's been like a steady like upward swing.
Mm-hmm.
And but like Fast and Furious, like it sucks because it thinks it's a real movie still. Like it thinks it's a movie about like this actual underground world that doesn't exist.
But that's how they stole the DVD players back in the early 2000s.
Oh yeah.
I will say, just because I
remember The Sopranos also stole DVD players.
Well, David Ayer thought he was doing The Sopranos and Point Break.
I know. That's the thing. Like, the first Fast and Furious movie has, like, such a high opinion of itself that it's like, no, you don't understand. This is about fucking real shit. These are, like, the real lives of people in this world. And it's like, Vin Diesel cannot sell that. Like,
no, but I will say...
God bless him. God bless him.
The thing that makes Vin Diesel a great, like, blockbuster star, in my opinion, is not his strength as like a flexible actor, but I think he's solid. I think he's good. That Sidney Lumet film he starred in, he's really good in. But I think what like separates him is that he understands like very sincere character stuff. Yeah. And what makes most of the stuff in the original Fast and Furious work for me is the sincerity of like the relationships. And then the sequels pick up those threads, and they get better as they go along, almost. And then we're in a little decline right now. We'll see how we come out the other end of this. Even me as a fast head, we'll see. But that's what makes that work. Sabotage is the complete opposite of that.
There's
where
no
it's just
sincerity.
like, no, life is worthless.
It's pure hatred in every frame. Like, every frame is just disease. Like,
I mean, it opens on a snuff film.
Yeah. That's the opening of this movie. With no explanation. Like, we get an explanation eventually, but it's just Arnold watching a woman being tortured to death.
And you know, I gotta go back for a second and say that David Ayer, I was calling him my enemy. I should probably make clear why. He's been referred to as like a Latin exploitation director, where like he's basically taking like job opportunities from like Latin filmmakers, like Latin American filmmakers, because he's taken a lot of like our actors and like iconography and then slapping like this white guy aesthetic over it all and see this is how the streets are. This is real.
Hey, I gotta give him credit. He was in the service. He was in the United States Navy.
Okay.
In the Navy.
Yeah, I don't care.
But, sorry.
No, it's fine.
I even feel bad about doing that joke towards David Ayer. I apologize. I'll just say I know people who've been in the Navy. and they're an interesting group of folks. He's only in for 2 years. Is that normal? I mean, that's like pre-war, I guess. Although that's Cold War. I don't fucking know.
Is that why he wrote that submarine movie?
I'm guessing. Was he on a submarine? I don't even know.
I don't know.
It says, yeah, he wrote it based on his experiences as a submariner in the U.S. Navy. All right, sure, good for him. I will say, I think the lesson I learned rewatching and Sabotage. Oh, did I interrupt your point about him being sorry?
No, he just I think he sucks.
I'll save this point.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Just
I think he just generally sucks because he's a bad filmmaker. I mean, you know.
I could live with him being a bad filmmaker if he seemed like a good guy who listened
he had a
to proper
movie
criticism
that came out recently. I did not even notice.
His last movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was kind of leading up to, where he cast Shia LaBeouf, and he made it clear that, like, no, he's like a white dude who grew up like in the hood, and that's why he's all like tatted up, and like he has like he gave him the character like a certain dialect, and that's why, because he grew up in the hood, so he's cool with the homies. And when I saw him explaining that in the thread, I was like, you know what? No, I'm done.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Sorry. Goodbye.
He's definitely going somewhere right now talking about how cancel culture has gone too far. Like, like David Ayer is just talking to no one in particular about cancel culture as we speak.
Well, he referred to his original cut of Suicide Squad as like a thoughtful drama.
That's impossible.
There's no.
that there is nowhere on earth that version of Suicide Squad exists.
This is the best Suicide Squad movie.
A little bit, yeah. There's definitely, it gets closer to it. I was gonna say though, like, David Ayer is like Fury, Suicide Squad, Bright, like all in a row, all ended up on like my worst of the year list. Like,
completely valid.
Yeah, those are like abysmal films. But I don't know if he's my enemy totally, but right now he's working on the Dirty Dozen remake, which Dirty Dozen is one of my all-time favorite movies, and like it's just like Suicide Squad already was his Dirty Dozen, and he fucked that up. So like, and there's no way his Dirty Dozen isn't about fucking killing the cartel or something.
Oh yeah, by the way, for people that don't know, he is apparently tapped to do, at this point in 2021, an adaptation of the Dirty Dozen, a remake, I guess.
There's no fucking way, like, unless it's still set in World War II, which, like, I don't know, maybe. Like, fuck that. Like, that'll bum me out. That will genuinely, like, bum me out, because Dirty Dozen's kind of like a perfect little movie. That's also, like, just sleazy.
Yeah.
And it's also one of those things where, like, if you want to understand why Suicide Squad doesn't work, just watch Dirty Dozen, like, which has a lot more heavy lifting to do, and it does it better. So, yeah, we got to mention though, there's a co-writer on this film.
Oh, I have a big note about him.
Why don't you start with Skip Woods?
Yeah, legendary screenwriter. And for those that don't know, and I know at least a couple out there do know Skip Woods, the name. His credit list goes from A Good Day to Die Hard, both Hitman film adaptations. Don't know how we got that job twice. Wolverine Origins, Max Payne. So he's
he did Max Payne? I did not know he did Max Payne.
Oh no! Wait, you know what? I apologize. He worked with the director a lot. The guy who did A Good Day to Die Hard.
Yeah,
that John something film. Or other. John Moore did Max Payne. I apologize. Skip Woods did not, but Skip Woods is Oh, and he also wrote Swordfish.
Yes, that's where I was going.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Now, because here's the thing, we should do Swordfish one of these days, but it's like I cannot think of like any excuse to do Swordfish. Like it's not like a failed blockbuster, but it's also like not a successful film. But also that director has never made anything else worth talking about, except for Season of the Witch, maybe. The only thing I think of is that like Swordfish is interesting in comparison to something like Black Hat, where Swordfish is like a very 2001 idea of how we thought hacking worked.
Mm.
But I just have Swordfish starts with one of the most hilariously overconfident openings in cinema history. Have you ever seen it?
No, I still haven't.
You have not seen Swordfish?
No.
All right, the opening to Swordfish is John Travolta monologuing directly to camera. And he's like, you know why Hollywood films suck? So it's because Hollywood makes bullshit movies that aren't realistic. Now, Swordfish is a film where there's going to be a bus being flown in the air by a helicopter.
Oh, wow.
That's like crashing through billboards in LA. And this is the opening where it's like, yeah, you know, it's not realistic. It didn't push, the movies don't push the envelope. And so you're basically getting an idea of what this movie thinks is realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes on a monologue, his monologue continues, and he starts talking about Dog Day Afternoon. And says it's like one of Lumet's, it's probably Lumet's best film, right? And gives a hilarious misread of Dog Day Afternoon.
I think I've seen this clip going around Twitter, but I didn't watch it beyond the Dog Day Afternoon reference.
It's just like they call it a morality tale, where it's like good guy wins, bad guy loses, which is absolutely not what happens in Dog Day Afternoon.
Whoa!
Yeah. And he's like, you know what he should have done? He should have shot a hostage immediately and then said, I will kill a hostage every 10 minutes until I get my demands. And then he wins, right? Like, that's how it should have gone, right?
Oh my god.
That's like the opening monologue to Swordfish. And then what follows is one of the least realistic, most insane, most melodramatic films that thinks it's like high art that you will ever see. There's like gunfights in like the middle of Los Angeles. And like hacking is done with a gun to your head. Like that's how hacking works.
Oh, right. Well, it sounds kind of like from the little Twitter thing that I saw going around too for that monologue.
Mm-hmm.
Like they want to be Tony Scott or something.
Yeah, I think it's Tony Scott, and it's the post Pulp Fiction thing, which is Travolta.
Oh, of course. Everything for like a decade.
Yeah, where
did
like
that shit.
Everyone talks about pop culture now in movies, and how much smarter they are than it.
Yeah.
Which it's like, say what you will about Tarantino, but that was like not what he was doing.
Yeah.
And it's just like there's like just a solid decade of films that were trying to be Pulp Fiction. And Swordfish is one of them. So maybe we could do something like that of like Pulp Fiction ripoffs. That's like the only way we could talk about Swordfish. But it's it's one of those movies where, much like Sabotage, where I think Sabotage thinks on some level it's like a realistic crime film. Like I think Swordfish is very similar, where it thinks this is what hacking is. And
before we get into like the nitty gritty, I guess, emphasis on gritty of like the plot and like all the weird machinations, I listened and watched several David Ayer interviews about this film.
Oh, why would you do that?
Because I needed to know where he was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously this movie was an accident, but it doesn't like impact my enjoyment of the film.
Yeah.
Because fuck him. But also he's describing things like, you know, I really wanted to put these guys through the meat grinder. He's talking about like, you know, I really want people to understand what these men and women do in the line of duty to protect us from evil.
Yeah, I definitely got that vibe from it. I definitely got that. And I guess my point is that I think this movie proves that David Ayer is a real gullible fuck. Because he seems like one of those guys, Michael Mann does that, where like Michael Mann hangs out with like real cops and real criminals. Like,
yeah.
And like we'll put them in the movie.
Yeah. The main cop, bad guy in Thief, the one that pulls him over, is a thief that ended up being the basis for the James Caan main character in Thief.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Was it like Dennis Farina was like a real detective?
Yeah.
Like before his
And Michael
acting
Mann's
career.
the reason he became an actor.
Yeah, exactly. So like I think David Ayer is one of those guys where like he hangs out with like soldiers and like DEA guys and just whatever the fuck the team in Sabotage is supposed to be. And they just lie to him and they make up crazy shit they either saw, did, or heard about. And they're all lies. And then David Ayer just believes them. Like, you know when you're talking to relatives, like, about anything? And they're like, I heard from this guy in Texas, and they describe something that 100% did not happen. And then you can't, like, argue with it. Because they're like, well, I heard from a guy that this happened. And then you're like, well, all right. And it's like, you clearly picked the end point before hearing this story.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of that in this movie. It just feels like, this is one of those movies where, like, I feel like we go through and talk about how ridiculous some of the stuff in it is. And then David Ayer somewhere has, like, just a fucking, like, binder full of all the, like, real stories he wrote down that he based this on, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, I don't believe are true, but he definitely believes they're true.
Well, he also had a quote where he said specifically he wanted to give Arnold, like, a nuanced performance and character to play. Where he's like, I didn't want to build up Arnold the action star. I wanted to have a real human being there. And look.
God bless you, but...
I love Arnold Schwarzenegger as an actor. That's just never going to happen.
Yeah.
We talked about it in The Last Stand a little bit, but the joke in Total Recall is that Arnold Schwarzenegger is not an average Joe.
Yeah, it doesn't make any goddamn sense.
It came out in 1990.
And I will say, he's like, I was trying to play down Arnold as a hero. There's a shot in this film that are real pictures of Arnold meeting with Clinton, Bush, and Obama. And then a real picture of Arnold on, like, a film set somewhere holding a gun. So,
I have no idea. But the film was heavily marketed as, like, the next Schwarzenegger action picture. Part of me, like, kind of forcing you to do this movie in the middle of this mini retrospective was because it popped up on Netflix under action films. And immediately my mind and heart just started, like, racing because I started, like, that's such a scary thought. These poor people out in the world are like, whoa, an Arnold Schwarzenegger picture I haven't seen before. I should watch it. And they're just going to stumble upon the most grotesque, vile work of art in the 21st century that was released in the mainstream cinemas.
Yeah. It's one of the more... Like, it's one of those things where, like, every now and then we have a debate about a movie that, like, people have a problem with, you know? Like, I can't think of an example right now because no movies are getting released. Oh, you know what? Today, this is just an example, Lin-Manuel Miranda, of all people, had to release an apology because of there not being enough... I don't understand because I don't know anything about In the Heights or the movie that was out. Mm-hmm. But I guess there weren't enough black characters in it, and, like, it was heavily set in a black neighborhood.
Not enough Afro Latinx people in the film. There's like one person with, like, dark skin, and they're like a minor character. Okay. And there's some background. Well, he got dragged for that because everyone was like, "What the fuck, dude?"
Yeah.
Like,
and
it's a little weird.
I think it's a little weird, but isn't it, like, about his life? Like.
No. It's just. It was a passion project for him. Like, I think this is the thing that got him started pre-Hamilton, right?
Yeah, it was a musical.
Yeah. And, like, look, like, I'm a white-passing Mexican guy, but I understand the complaints completely. And I don't know if I'm going to keep this in the rest of the episode, but, like, I think it's worth saying that part of the upset nature of that discussion is, like, like, it wouldn't be such a big deal if there were more movies for people of color. Yeah. Then every one of these wouldn't have to, like, adhere to, like, a bar of, like, perfection almost. Yeah. That's not even me, like, defending the film because I didn't like it that much.
I haven't seen it, and I'll wait for the, like, half off Tuesday or whatever next week.
It's on HBO Max.
I'm not. No, you know what? I'm refusing. I am refusing to watch any new released movies on HBO Max now that the theaters are open.
And you know what? If you have to if you are interested, I would recommend it in a theater because
Yeah.
it is fun to watch with like a crowd of people that do want to
Never mind
enjoy
all
a
that
movie.
shit. Never mind that shit. Here, all I'm saying is like, all right, so we just kind of had like a bit of a nuanced discussion about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the people who let this movie out should be in jail. Like, there is no ambiguity that this is a fucking just awful, horrific, offensive, disgusting movie. And it's one of those ones where, like, you will watch occasionally where it, like, goes so far that it, like, comes back around to being, like, fascinating, you know? Like, this is what a movie, I think, is playing 24/7 in the minds of, like, MAGA heads all the time. Like, I think this is how those people think the world works, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think this is honestly this is gonna sound fucking insane, but this is the movie like I wanted Sicario to be. Like, Sicario thinks it's like a nuanced film, and it's not. It's just dumb. And this is dumb, but it's so dumb it ends up being kind of nuanced.
We should also note that, according to the Wikipedia, we found no basis or quote
Yeah,
for
we
any
could
of this,
not.
but it's worth bringing up that, according to the production note on the Wikipedia, Sabotage is loosely based on the classic Agatha Christie novel, And Then There Were None.
Yes. And I'll just say, again, talking about offensive, this movie's about as offensive as the original title for And Then There Were None.
Mm-hmm.
Do not look it up.
Yeah.
But, the Wikipedia says this, but we couldn't find a source for this, so it could be bullshit. And there's just a little bit of evidence against this suggestion in that absolutely nothing that happens in Sabotage matches the story And Then There Were None.
Oh, look, we're like half an hour into this. Should we mention the actual story for people that... Because I imagine a lot of people haven't seen this movie, actually.
Yeah, well, I guess just to step back 1 second, you were like talking about how worried you were that people on Netflix were watching this.
Mm-hmm.
A important thing is that this movie was marketed as the cartel kidnapped Arnold's family, so he's getting a crew together to go get the cartel. That is not what this film is about at all. That is 100.
The opening scene just immediately like deflates any expectations for that.
I mean, even then, it's like you wouldn't know what that opening scene is unless like you'd be like, oh, maybe this is a flash forward, like if it wasn't immediately followed by like 18 months later or something like that. Like, it's that is not what this movie's about at all. And that's another thing where like the information is given out in such a weird way that I don't know how we're going to talk about it right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because again, like it opens with video on watching a woman being tortured, but it's not revealed what that footage is until halfway through. But like, I'm guessing the audience knows what that footage is, but I also don't know. Like,
you know it's something bad, but you don't understand anything about why it's like. I mean, obviously, you know, snuff films are bad. It's not rocket science to figure that
you know
out.
what movie
but like,
this is also like?
I have a thought, but you go first.
The fucking Counselor.
How dare you?
This movie is very similar to The Counselor. Was that the same fucking year?
The Counselor came out like 9 months before or something like that.
Oh, shit.
Counselor was 2013. Sabotage was 2014.
All right.
Yeah, but
All right.
you know what? No, I kind of get what you're saying. Where it's just like insanely grotesque and violent.
Yeah.
And it's like, it almost says nothing, but it saying nothing makes it actually say something.
Yeah. And it's very
Thank you,
clear.
Cormac McCarthy.
Yeah, that's the only one where I think Cormac McCarthy was fucking playing a prank on Hollywood with that movie. Where they're like, No Country for Old Men was a hit. We'll pay you anything for a script. And he just gave him the first thing he had. And then Ridley Scott was like, brilliant.
All right, well, look, the basic premise of this film, because this is important before I bring up what other film this reminded me of, is this group of DEA agents steal money from the cartel, the money goes missing, and they start getting picked off one by one.
Yeah.
They don't know who's doing what, it's part mystery, it's part crime drama, quote unquote, or it tries to be.
Yeah.
But then you have lines like Joe Manganiello going like, "Oh, we shouldn't have fingered the devil's pussy."
Yes.
Or some shit, and you're just like, what fucking planet am I on?
Yeah, and everyone talks like that.
Yeah,
Like
and
every
it doesn't
character.
stop.
Yeah. I'm surprised the coroner didn't talk like that. Like he's the only one that's kind of reserved. But you're right. This is a movie. It starts as a heist film. It becomes a crime drama, which turns into a murder mystery, and then in the last 5 minutes, it's a revenge film.
I'll get to those last 5 minutes.
It was advertised.
Holy fuck.
It was advertised as those last 5 minutes. So,
all that to say, the movie this reminded me of is Dario Argento's Bay of Blood.
Oh my god.
Hi, before I lose all my geek cred, yes, it was Mario Bava who directed Bay of Blood, not Dario Argento. Sorry to my Italian friends. Enjoy the show.
Well, because that's also, like, it's not a mystery, it's just a murder film. I mean, it's a giallo, but it's about this family. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Okay, it's about a family that is trying to get some money, and to do so, they have to, like, whittle each other down, basically. They have to take each other out, and it's a fantastic movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not stupid, you know? This is a stupid movie. Sabotage is, like, ridiculously dumb.
Dario Argento always rides that line of, like, brilliant and stupidity. Like, God bless Dario Argento, you know? Like... Mm-hmm. Like, but like his movies like have that thing where like the logic of it like barely holds together. But if you go along with it, it's like a great ride, you know?
I guess, but like, you know, I wouldn't call like Suspiria stupid, you know? Like that one inherently, because it's more like dreamlike, like intentionally.
I mean, yeah, but it's still like odd, you know? Like, and I'm not even like saying those as negatives.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying like I think those what make the films work.
Yeah.
It's that weird thing where like the remake like focus so hard on like making everything make sense, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, which I actually like that remake.
I do too. I know,
but it's like, you know, it's not really Suspiria. It's one of those movies where like I wish it had been called something else.
Mm-hmm. And I think it actually would have done better.
Yeah, maybe. But that's that weird. What didn't Amazon produce that?
They bought the distribution rights or something?
But
I forget.
Amazon
it's weird.
Famously, like, fucked up their, like, first few movies they tried to release in theaters. And it was like...
And that was one of them, huh? That's right.
And it was entirely their fault, but then they just said, oh, no one goes to the movies anymore. And then they gave up. So, good thing they're buying MGM.
Mm.
Did MGM produce this? That might explain some things.
Oh.
No, it was Open Road Films and Universal. And then, like, 4 companies you've never heard of.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Isn't David Ayer's company now called, like, Trigger Warning Entertainment?
I think so.
I think that's what Bright
I'll never forget. When I watched Bright,
mm-hmm.
like, one of the first, like, production companies you see is Trigger Warning Entertainment or whatever, and from then on out, I knew, like, this is what we're doing.
I know someone who saw that in theaters. And they said
Why?
What?
Why?
I think they got invited. It's a weird story. They said that logo came up and the whole audience groaned.
That's pretty good.
Hey, fairy lives don't matter today. That line and Will Smith in Wild Wild West saying that slavery wasn't a big deal is like enough to put him in jail for the rest of his life. No 2 actors have ever said worse lines. With that much distance.
Yeah, I was gonna say, people have, like, back-to-back shit in this movie, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, this one's just, like, there are some, like, horribly grotesque lines in this movie, and I wrote a lot of them down.
Well, look, like, within, like, a minute of the opening snuff film footage, this DEA team is in the back of the truck ready to, like, do their heist thing and all this fucking shit.
I have to talk about... We've talked a lot about openings on this series. And this opening's a bit of a mess.
I just have but to then say. You have people asking, like, who the fuck dropped ass?
Yeah, but no, I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about, like, the information we're given. which it's impossible to pick up the information we're given because of the horrible dialogue. But we get the opening snuff film footage, which right away is just going to make everyone in the theater just so disgusted. They're going to be like, should I leave? And they're not going to be paying attention when then the screen goes black and it says 18 months later. And you're like, 18 months later from what? From the footage or from Arnold watching the footage? So that right there doesn't make sense. And then we will talk about this opening heist, but then after the heist, we get like an interrogation scene, right? And then after the interrogation scene, we get 6 months later. So it's like we did like a 2-year jump in like 5 minutes.
I should tell you, I think it's 8 months later, but either way, it doesn't help.
Yeah.
it's still these crazy time jumps.
Yeah, it was 8 months. You're right. I don't know why I thought 18, but still, like, that's like a lot. Like, that's ridiculous. Don't pile up your movie like that. And if we're talking about David Ayer, just based on like some of the footage you could see in this, I wonder if David Ayer like thought he was making like a beautiful movie, and his original cut was like 3 hours. Like, there's some weird choices in this where it's like they put too much effort into like a scene that is like a half a second flashback, and like that might have been a full scene. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like maybe that was the original choice. But like I don't know. But David Ayer's not happy with this version, right?
No, he's not. You know what other movie this reminds me of?
Mm-hmm.
Michael Bay's Pain and Gain. And I'm not saying that because it's like a ridiculous, like, schlocky masterpiece. I'm actually not crazy about Pain and Gain.
Same, yeah.
But I think it's his attempt at doing, like, a Coen Brothers style drama.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just like Michael Bay can't do that. And that's kind of what makes it interesting. And that's what makes Sabotage kind of interesting, in that David Ayer's not trying to make an action picture. He's like, no. This is the real shit, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. I don't know. I was going to say, like, with Pain and Gain, it's one of those things where, like, what's frustrating about that movie for me is that, like, just a few changes, I think, would make that movie, like, really good. You know?
Mm.
Like, I think he's, like, so close to the mark that it's, like, almost, like, genuinely brilliant. As opposed to, like, I see what he was going for, and then never wanting to watch it again. Whereas this, it feels like it was maybe taken away from him and edited, but the editing is what makes it accidentally brilliant.
It's the exact opposite of what happened to Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Except that I think there was no saving that one otherwise, but whatever.
Yeah, he was kind of given like an impossible task.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one time.
But don't worry,
to his credit,
he got an executive producer credit on Birds of Prey.
That's so awful.
I know. We
That
could have
almost
done Birds
ruins
of Prey.
that great film.
We could have done Birds of Prey for this series.
Oh, I know, huh?
But we already did something for that.
Yeah.
Just
Link to the commentary down below.
Yeah, just tack Last Boy Scout and Birds of Prey onto the series, like retroactively.
Oh, I totally will.
Like
also, apologies to anyone who hears ice clinking. It is like 100 degrees in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So that's what that is.
Diego's dying, and I'm keeping him longer because we're still on the first scene.
I know.
Oh, yeah, all right. You can talk about the great dialogue that's happening to establish these well-rounded characters who are definitely individuals.
Okay, so back in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre duology retrospective, you had mentioned that the frat bros in the beginning of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 sort of looked like dudes who would cover up a gang rape. I feel the same applies here.
Yeah, they would. They 100% would. I think they kind of say that at a certain point.
Later when the Olivia Williams character goes to see them and whatever, and they're
Hey,
like,
bros,
oh,
the strippers
stripper.
here. Hey, but hey, it's okay because the one woman is saying it too.
Oh, yeah.
That makes it okay.
We'll get to Muriel Enos. Is that how you pronounce it?
I don't know.
Marielle?
I don't know. The only thing I know her from is like Good Omens.
Oh, is that good?
Not really.
Oh.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, but it's like read the book. Like,
Right, well, I know she was in The Killing, which is like apparently crazy underappreciated.
yeah, I have not seen it. People keep telling me to, but I have not seen it.
But I just want to say before we get into the rest of this glorious bullshit and literal shit, as we will come to see, Marielle Enos, if that's how you pronounce her name, I apologize, as Lizzie Murray. She steals this film, I think. I think she is so good. Like, we're talking about stuff that's accidentally good in this movie.
Yeah.
I think she's genuinely brilliant in this movie.
I don't know. I was a little held back from being like caught up in her performance by just like how calculated her character was written. Where it's like a strong woman is a woman who has shed all her femininity, you know?
No. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to praise any of the writing of this film. Again, this is like an accidentally fascinating movie. But I think whatever wavelength she was on, I think she's completely like magnetic. Like, I think she's the most interesting part of the film.
She's definitely interesting, but I think it's just more in just like it's one of those things where it's like, does this movie hate women or like,
no? I'll say it does. I think it does.
I don't know. It's weird because like Olivia Williams' character to me is like on the opposite end of the spectrum of that, where it's like she's given a little bit that like you don't see with a character like hers, you know, like that's like. No, maybe it's just like confused about women, like, but women are also the architects of like all evil in the world, like.
Well, maybe that's why. I do we want to talk spoilers? I kind of don't, because I really want people to watch this.
Yeah, I mean that could mean anything, but we should say you were talking about like all the characters introduced. It's all dudes, just guys being dudes. In the back of a fucking, like, I don't even know, they're like in like a SWAT van, I guess. They're like talking about their balls and farting. You know how men are. But the one female character gets a different introduction.
Oh boy, does she.
Which is, I think she's gonna go blow the guy, is what's happening.
No, they're gonna go fuck.
Yeah,
and then
I thought they were setting up that she was like getting ready to blow him. Like, I thought, like, we were starting there.
Oh, okay.
That was at least the vibe I was getting.
I mean...
And he was like, yeah! Like, you know.
That doesn't go much better, I guess.
But she's, like, basically, like, in her... Like, she's, like, stripped down.
Yeah, and... she's, quote-unquote, undercover. And then it's just...
But get it? She's naked.
Yeah.
Almost.
Well, she's like getting undressed, and then the dude, or she pulls out a condom, and the dude's like, no, I want to do it raw, or whatever. And it's like, what? It is an oppressively ugly film.
Yeah.
That's not that raw sex is inherently ugly. It's just compared to like, this is the first 3 minutes of the motion picture.
Yeah. And these characters are already more repugnant than the snuff film that the movie opened with.
Yeah.
Like, it's like right off the bat is just where we're at. And yeah, and then it turns out, nope, she's undercover. Like, we're not totally sure at first, but then Arnold's like, where's Lizzie? And like, Arnold's doing his best. And and then she goes from like almost blowing the guy to then she's like kickboxing the guy, and then he shoots him. And someone told David Ayer that they did that, and they were lying to him.
That one, I don't know. That one might be a David Ayer imagination thing.
This is the perfect woman.
That's who he wants his wife to be.
Is he married?
I don't know, but I'm scared to find out.
I gotta check.
Regardless of whether he is or isn't.
I mean, it says he's married. Good for him. Hope they're doing well.
Yeah. Like, I'm talking shit, but like, if he's like a genuine like good guy behind the scenes or whatever, fine.
He's definitely Blue Lives Matter. Like,
yeah, he just hasn't tweeted it because he listens to his fucking PR team.
Yeah. There's someone took the fucking phone away from him.
It's kind of like I like him as an actor too, but like, you know, I think of like Chris Pratt.
Oh yeah, where
it's like we all kind of know something's up.
Yeah,
but he's also like, I love hanging out. I love just being a dude with the boys.
Yeah. Well, I think the frustrating thing with Chris Pratt is that we saw him before this. Like, this is clearly like, I got divorced from my wife and I felt guilty about it energy. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of.
Like,
he could have been in this film.
He could have. He's in like Zero Dark 30 and shit, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Think what they're saying is right. Osama bin Laden. He's got that line. They go to Area 51 in that movie.
No one talks about how weird that one gets, but
that movie is so strange, and I hate that I like it. Like, that's one of those ones where it's like, we talk about guilty pleasures.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I 100% feel guilt about liking that movie.
I have mixed feelings, but when Catherine Bigelow's just on her fucking game, like, you can't beat her.
Please
you
just
know?
stop, Catherine. Like, whatever you can, just don't make another movie with the military or cops in it. Like, just don't. Like,
She
try
almost did
something else.
Triple Frontier, and I think she could have made that one good.
Yeah, she
Not that it was
could've.
bad, but, it was fine. It was
She
good,
could've-
solid.
It would have elevated it, I guess we should say.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a big shootout in the house. They're there for the money.
Oh,
They're
yeah, and
holding
that's
off some guys.
where we get the first like real recurring theme of this movie, which this is just in a movie that's an excuse to just watch tons of Mexican characters get just mowed down.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this movie is.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Weird
why I'm,
trend with David Ayer.
yeah,
Is what I'll say there.
and a little bit of a like, well, what are they supposed to do? These guys are animals. Like, there's a little bit of that here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure David Ayer's argument is like, I'm not talking about Mexicans, but I'm talking about the cartel. I'm sure that's his argument, right? And it's like, yeah.
And look, the cartels are filled with some of the worst people on planet Earth.
Yeah,
that's just a fact. But so are like American police forces.
Well,
so...
here's the thing. Here's where I think this movie is not what it thinks it is. This main cast of characters are the worst people in the film by like a mile. Like, they are disgusting, repugnant, and deserve everything that happens to them. And I think this movie thinks that it's not that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it gets weird.
I mean, we keep saying it's weird, but like it really is just like odd. But I think if you can get like on its odd wavelength, like if you love trash, and you haven't seen Sabotage, if you love like exploitation films, I think you'll love Sabotage.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge exploitation guy. But I think this is a masterpiece. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't even know why I like it that much. Like, it's like 100% against like my moral code, Like,
yeah, I mean, it goes back to that idea of like, the entertainment that you enjoy doesn't mean you like endorse its ideals.
Yeah.
Like life's more complicated than just like I saw this movie whose politics I agree with or disagree with, and that means I completely subscribe to those opinions and beliefs 100% infallibly.
I'm just saying, Hamilton felt weirder to rewatch in a post-Trump era than Sabotage does. Which, I don't know what that means.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't know, like, I think there's something about, like, just its unapologeticness that, like, it's not pretending to be a nuanced film. You know what I'm saying?
I think it was trying to, but like
But
we
failed
mentioned...
entirely.
It did. It failed entirely, and whoever took the film away from David Ayer is basically a hero.
Yeah.
Because now it's... I love it. But I want to talk about the raid on the house.
There's a toilet that is just caked in shit.
Yeah, so I've described this as like, oh, if you love like your fucking trash, grab like a 6-pack of beers, some nachos, a pizza. Never mind all that.
Yeah.
Don't actually consume anything physically while you're watching this movie.
Yeah, that was the problem. In rewatching it, I'm like, I don't know if I would actually recommend this to people. Like...
Yeah, right? Like, we're here talking about it on this podcast, and it's like, if you're out there listening, like, should I watch it? Again, if you like exploitation movies, maybe. But I don't know. All I know is that it was supposed to be a big hit, and it wasn't. And it's easy to see why.
This would be a big hit, is what's crazy. Like, although how well does Sicario do?
Yeah, it did good enough to do a sequel.
Yeah, like Sicario was like a surprise hit. Like,
yeah.
That's
and
like
I'll say this because I like Denis Villeneuve. Everything that's aged poorly about Sicario for me is completely on the writing.
Mm-hmm.
That movie has like incredible moments that are really well directed, and it's just It's white boy playing cowboy.
Yeah.
Who wrote it?
Yeah.
This one kind of is too, obviously, but fuck, it is like uncompromisingly stupid.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes it great.
And just like, I don't know, it's, why is there a toilet just caked in shit?
Well, this movie's trying to be as gross as possible.
Yeah, but why?
Because that's real, man.
I guess.
I don't fucking know.
I mean, it's just like we're talking about, like, David Ayer, like, wanted this to be, like, a movie about, like, the hell that these guys go through, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's just a toilet caked in shit.
What makes it so much worse is that when you find out, okay, they get the money, all right, this is how we're gonna, like, evacuate the money, and we'll go back for it later after pumping it through the sewer line here. So they have to lift up the shit caked toilet, and as they lift it up, you don't really see it, but you do hear the splatters as it goes across the floor. It's so disgusting. It's so awful. That is genuinely uncomfortable to watch. And there are some gruesome murders in this film. That might be the most difficult scene in the movie to watch. Just the toilet stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe it was David Ayer's way of being like, turn back now. Like, if this is what the movie's gonna be.
One of the federal agents dies.
How often you see a toilet full of shit, man? Bro, you never see that shit in movies, man. Dude.
I hate him, but I love this. One of the federal agents dies, but we don't even learn their name.
His name's Smoke, because they say it. But
they?
More importantly, we never see his face. Like, we don't get
he just dies.
Yeah, it's like, Smoke's dead. We lost Smoke. We lost a man back there. And it's like, we don't have a face. We don't have a family. Like, there's not even a shot where it's like, oh, here's Smoke, like, his file photo. Like, we don't even get that.
Yeah, he's not important to the movie after he dies.
Yeah, it's like, but it's supposed to be like, this tore the team apart. Like, it's like, no. Like, no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
And, yeah, Smoke dies, and then they, what the fuck happens? They steal $10 million.
And then they blow up the basement of the house where the money was stashed next to the shit toilet. And to cover their tracks, they go to find the money later, and it's vanished. It's gone.
Yeah.
No one knows what happened. But now they're being investigated by internal affairs.
Yep.
Because that always happens in serious cop dramas.
Because it's the system, man.
Yeah.
See, like, here's the thing. Whose side are we supposed to be on?
Okay, back to the David Ayer interviews. He says, the movie's kind of about the Olivia Williams character, and it's about her journey in navigating these waters. Which is not true.
I mean, I will say, I do think the movie thinks that. Like, because, like, she gets, like, the big dramatic moment at the end of the movie. And we'll go
back to that.
We're supposed to be like her in that moment, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're more like, what? But, yeah, but again, that doesn't really answer my question.
I don't know.
Because
Terrence Howard?
No, definitely not.
No, I know.
But, like, everyone is portrayed like assholes in this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is it just like everyone's an asshole, so fuck the world?
I've read takes where it's like, oh, it's an accidentally like ACAB film. All cops are bastards, and they're no better than the criminals they're hunting. But even that feels like a stretch, and if anything, an accident at most.
I do think I agree with that, but only that's an accident. Because the movie definitely tries to be like, aha, like it tries to not be that. But like, maybe it thinks it's trying to be like the drug war dehumanizes all of us.
I don't know. I'm gonna need white people to stop making that movie, because quite frankly, it's not working.
Soderbergh couldn't even do it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Traffic blows.
I wouldn't say blows.
It
but
looks very good, but it's a bad movie. Which is like what I could say about
listen.
half of Soderbergh's films.
Listen. Soderbergh just needs to do his fun little movies, like Let Them All Talk, which was fantastic, and the Ocean's trilogy, which was fantastic.
Yeah, those have aged very well.
They have. We're just gonna leave it there.
Yeah.
But the movie does attempt to do something more serious with like the investigation stuff, and it's kind of the least interesting aspect of the film because it takes itself a little seriously.
Yeah.
But not over the top serious like everything else in the movie.
Well, it's very clear that maybe the investigation was supposed to be a little more complex.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just like, cut this shit down to where we have the bare bones.
Yeah.
Like,
you catch up with them once in a while.
There's a very pointed moment in this where a bullet was left at the point because the money was gone. And there's a bullet left there. Does that lead anywhere?
I think it's just supposed to scare them. You know, we'll get to like the revelations in the back half. So if you don't want any spoilers for the great film Sabotage, directed by David Ayer, just go watch it and come back, or listen to us talk about it anyways. Because
I will think that's maybe what will like help the grotesqueness of it. It's just like you will watch this movie the first time being like, where the fuck is this going? And then like you will have guessed the ending at some point because it's not that complicated. But you're like, there's no way this movie is that simple. Like, with what it's doing, and then it ends up being that simple.
Yeah. I'll say, because I went through the same, like, motion when I first saw it, too. And I didn't like it that much when I first saw it. I was like, this is... ugh. You know? But it did catch me off guard by the end. And I was like, oh, okay, All right, I guess so. But yes, I think that is purposeful. A purposeful misdirection, but it makes sense when you see the character choices that made that happen, which is an odd thing to say about this film.
Yes, it is an odd thing to say.
The film slows down the most after this little section because once the characters start getting like picked off, I think it's like flawless. In a way.
it's so strange because like it is that thing of like, where is this movie going for a little bit? Like it definitely runs into that problem. Mm-hmm. Of like, what the fuck is this? I gotta say though, one of the guys in one of the interrogators, I do not know the actor's name, sadly, but he was in JFK, and I just have to point that out. He was one of Kevin Costner's guys on like the defense team or whatever the fuck, the prosecutor's team. It was a good movie.
Is it Olivia Williams' partner?
No, I said the interrogators.
Oh fuck, I'm sorry.
He was the skinny guy.
Mm.
The one Arnold doesn't call fat at one point.
Oh, yeah. That delightful scene.
That scene is honestly hysterical. Because it's Arnold being like, who the fuck are you? Like,
well, because, like, Arnold is, like, he's trying to give, like, a very good, serious performance. And I do think he has stuff in him, like we talked about, for that stuff. This film, it comes across as like accidentally comical, and that's why it's so much fun to watch. Yeah,
it's hit and miss like when it's like working, but it's also a movie that takes itself so seriously that you can't take it seriously. Like it really is like it feels like little boy trying hard, you know? Mm-hmm. Like this is like I'm pretty sure like the first thing I wrote in like 8th grade where I was like I'm gonna write like a serious story. It was just like I tried to just put like shocking things in it. Like, that's what I thought was serious.
Oh, that's perfect.
Like,
yeah.
Like, I think that's how I thought stories worked. And, you know, I was in 8th grade. And eventually...
And maybe you, too, could have gotten $35 million to make a film like Sabotage.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they'll never make another American movie like this, I don't think. At least until, like, the industry collapses.
Netflix has probably already made, like, 3, and we just don't know about it. Like...
I would love to make a movie like this. I would never work again.
Yeah.
I would need to shower for like a month straight after. But I think it would be a blast. It's so awful.
A better version of this movie is the one that understands this is about how cops like just betray each other and kill each other. Like, you know, like The more like overtly a cab version of this.
Yeah.
Do we want to give a rundown of like the whole crew? Because that's what.
Fuck it, let's do it. Yeah.
Because the interrogation, like they put all their names on the screen.
And that's when we first learn everyone's name except for like Breacher and Lizzie, because they're the only ones that have the names said most frequently. And I guess Smoke, which you heard and I didn't.
Yeah, Smoke, who died before this scene, so we don't even get him. We get Sugar, played by Terrence Howard.
Everyone's favorite.
Yeah, the guy no one has any problems with.
Yeah. Next time, baby.
Yeah, that was a good career choice.
Yeah, that was great.
Pyro, played by Max Martini.
Yeah.
Who's in Saving Private Ryan?
He is like he's that guy. He's one of those guys.
He is 100%
he's solid.
One of those. He was in fucking Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
He's a interesting actor that pops up in things. Tripod, played by not Joe Rogan. That guy looked 100% like Joe Rogan.
I know.
I honestly feel like, because I think Joe Rogan's in Bright.
Is he? Oh yeah, he's talking to like one of the orcs or something.
Yeah, on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
So it's like this is a completely alternate universe, but somehow still horrible enough that the Joe Rogan podcast exists. And you know Joe Rogan's on there talking crazy shit about orcs. Like, and then he had that one orc cop on to like deflect. But you fucking know it, man.
Jamie, can you pull up the 2014 film Sabotage?
You ever tried DMT, man? You mean people could be listening to this conversation right now? It's my favorite on your head.
Let's see who else we got. Because I don't remember the order in the movie, and I didn't write it down that
I
way.
wrote the order, I think.
Okay.
We got Neck, played by Josh Holloway.
Who should have had a bigger career after Lost.
Yeah, I didn't watch Lost. So
Well, he's a great actor who just never got that
is
shot.
the other guy from Lost too?
Not on the team, but Harold Perrineau.
Yeah.
The investigator Darius Jackson.
And he was Link in The Matrix.
And
he was in Romeo and Juliet.
My favorite adaptation of that.
Yeah. Baz Luhrmann, man.
Hell yeah.
They showed
I'm
that
a Baz
to us.
Luhrmann truther.
They showed that to us in what the fuck does that mean?
I like his films,
Oh,
except for
okay.
Australia. No one likes Australia.
I have not seen Australia.
It doesn't work, but
hey, I own it now. So
good for you. I guess
I have to watch it.
Oh yeah.
I inherited a bunch of DVDs. Yeah. And then who's left?
Oh, there's a Grinder played by Joe Manganiello.
I was gonna let you pronounce his name.
Yeah, I was like, fuck.
I 100%.
This is my other favorite character in the film, oddly enough.
Talk about a guy with a weird career.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to fight me neither. No, I'm a huge Joe fan. I think he's a really talented actor, and I think like Josh Holloway, he hasn't found like that thing yet that could like make an established name.
It was supposed to be Deathstroke.
Oh yeah.
Which don't do that. But
shame.
But
he's cool, but that's not hard.
I think he's most known for like the Magic Mike films.
Oh yeah, Big Dick Richie.
And
which are perfect films, by the way. Not even joking.
Speaking of perfect films, he's also the co-lead in Pee-wee's Big Holiday.
Oh yeah, that's a good movie.
It is. It's solid. It's like one of those movies that has no right to exist or be as okay as it is. Like, but yeah, put this. He pops up in like weird shit.
Yeah. Oh. But his big like breakout role originally that also led to nowhere was in True Blood, which if you watch True Blood to the end like me, you know you see why it didn't pan out for everyone. Yeah, I don't know. But
that was a show that existed.
Look, for trash, you're not getting better than that first 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is killing each other or having sex with each other, and it's kind of great when you're like discovering HBO for the first time.
Sure.
After that,
Or
you don't need it.
You could have watched something good.
I mean, I also watched The Wire, you know?
Yeah, there's other good things.
Yeah. But no, Joe, I'm a fan. And then again, Muriel Enos, who is a crazy person in this.
She's Lizzie. She doesn't get a nickname. She's just Lizzie.
No, she's just Lizzie.
Because she's the girl.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. Like, oh, well, you know.
But then, turning in what I think he thought was his Oscar performance is Sam Worthington as Monster.
Yep. Huh.
It's a long way down from Avatar.
I think he is a solid actor who unfortunately was typecast as the next guy in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And that made everyone hate him. You know what I mean?
He hit every branch on the way down.
Yeah.
Of, bad choices.
Yeah, and that's too bad. Because I'm not gonna go to the mat for him.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a reliable actor, and that's fine, you know?
Uh-huh.
That's all. I don't think it's particularly bad or good. Just look at the job done.
Unfortunately, under his personal life on Wikipedia has a section called legal issues.
Oh, that's a great sign.
I guess he hit a paparazzi.
Oh. I shouldn't comment about how I feel about that, but
yeah, you know. I guess it was settled out of court. But I saw 3 paragraphs and got real worried, but it's all about punching a paparazzi.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, Kanye did that too.
Yeah, Kanye's done a few things.
Yep, he sure has.
I'm sure we haven't heard all of it. But yeah, that's our team. And I think Sam Worthington maybe thought this was going to be his bounce back.
Maybe. What else has he done since then? Because he's done smaller things, obviously.
Well, yeah, because this was a fucking flop.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Oh wait, no, he's been working steadily, just
he has, but it's nothing you have watched, and nothing you would watch.
Oh well, you know what? He starred in Fractured, which I haven't seen. I heard it's not very good, but it's from a director I really like called Brad Anderson. Have you seen his his first film? Session 9?
Yeah, I saw Session 9 and liked it.
Yeah, I really like Session 9.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, there you go. You work with
I'm just saying, he goes from Avatar, and then the very next year he had Clash of the Titans.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Which, say what you will, but that's a big release film.
Mm-hmm.
And then what else does he have? You know,
Man on a Ledge?
I remember ads for that. I
do too.
That was all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Well, then he did Wrath of the Titans.
Mm-hmm. You know who maybe stole his thunder? And I'm not trying to say they have the same energy at all, but they definitely have a very similar look. Tom Hardy.
I could see that because all white people look similar. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was thinking there was a movie where I was didn't he do The Drop? I was didn't Sam Worthington do The Drop? And I'm no, that was Tom Hardy. And I did that again, then I was oh, it's Tom Hardy again. I did it for 2 movies. And yeah, you know, Tom Hardy I think is what Sam Worthington maybe wanted to be.
Yeah, I mean, well look, Tom Hardy is just on another planet of acting.
But also Sam Worthington's basically unrecognizable in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only thing you're going to recognize Sam Worthington as is Jake Sully, if that.
Well, he's blue. He's going to be blue in them from now on.
Yeah.
Spoilers for the biggest film of all time.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you do. You know, there isn't even a Wikipedia page for the character Jake Sully, which normally there is for a franchise film that big.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. You know what there is a Wikipedia for?
Mm-hmm.
David Ayer has a fandom page.
Oh, no.
Well, you know, the fandom.com? It's where they have all the fan wikis now.
Well, yeah, but there's
fandom.
there's a David Ayer, just one about all his films.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
is he like on the DC one and they're like, we want him back?
No. It's actually it's not complete, but there is a page for Sabotage. So I'm gonna just read it out a little bit right now.
And this is a fan wiki, so like take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Well, they spelled characters here as O'Hara's. Instead of the C's, they replaced them with the O's.
What?
So it's O'Hara's.
What the fuck is that about?
I don't know. There's no C's on this page. It's Rio-ering, Oru members, On Soreen. I don't know what the fuck is up with this page.
So,
David Ayer has a page. It's just not complete.
They put about as much effort as he puts into his films.
I guess Sabotage has a full page with the plot synopsis from Wikipedia, and some highlights from the critical reception that notes it received negative reviews from heretics, and I didn't know this. This is Arnold's lowest grossing opener in 30 years.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah, this is probably like what puts the nail in his coffin is like him being back, which is a shame.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's still Arnold for what he is.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like he's so old. It's like he kind of has to just do like old man movies now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a little sad. But I also am not like saying that this movie should have done better. This probably did about as well as it could do.
But yeah, after we go through the lineup of our motley crew, I guess we'll call them, it does slow down a little bit with the investigation, and then something happens.
We get shit of like they go back to training, but they're all fucked up. We find out like Lizzie has a drug problem. Maybe it's weird. They're like Rusty. Arnold does like a thing where he's like, you guys don't trust each other, and so he makes him do the exercise, but then he's gonna be in the building, so they have to shoot all the targets, but not him, and he's just smoking a cigar. Which is
a lot of cigar smoking in this movie.
Yeah, which is something Arnold just does in real life. So maybe that's why it was worked into the film. I should mention
this movie.
They have like a weird headquarters where like they're all just going crazy, like playing video games, and there's a lot of like emasculation going on and mocking each other's dicks. And they have a poster on the background that is Ronald Reagan as Rambo.
That makes a lot of sense.
So I just wanted to point that out.
However, put that up there from the production team. Thank you for your service. Yeah. Once they're reinstated after all that, too, they go to a bar, they get all hammered together and all that shit. And then the character Pyro goes back to his motorhome, wakes up in the middle of the night with his motorhome in the middle of the train tracks, and he can't get out in time. And so the train hits him and he's killed inside his motorhome on the train tracks.
This is probably the most convoluted way to kill a guy.
Yeah, why didn't they? I don't know.
Well, because they're gruesome murders, because it's clearly done by someone with a vendetta against them. That's the only explanation.
Yeah. Fucking.
So like
sure.
suddenly,
I
now the
don't
movie
know if that tracks by the end of this.
Now the movie's like turning into Seven, like because like we just get like a bunch of grisly murders. Yeah, Olivia Williams enters the film as like the investigator. There's a lot of like dialogue, dude. It's just like if this is how David Ayer talks in his real life, it must be exhausting to be around him.
I know. I also just want to mention that obviously Pyro exits the picture from his death, but it's also they do
one thing we have to
a
talk
job
about,
of like drawing attention to his remains.
We gotta say something about David Ayer though, which is that like he has gotten like some of the most committed film crews ever. Like the actors that work on his movies like go insane for the movies they're making. Like everyone on Suicide Squad was like out of their minds. Like they were like tattooing each other. Like now fucking what's her name has like a misspelled tattoo on her body.
Well, remember Jai Courtney was running around the set naked while they were preparing to shoot? Like he was messing with people. I don't think he was like harassing anyone, just like
yeah, that's cool.
But it's weird. There's a photo of him just like
Yeah.
So
Well, like Shia LaBeouf on the fucking Tank movie like pulled one of his own teeth out.
oh, and for the last film he did with David Ayer, the one that no one remembers now, thankfully, but he tattooed his entire upper chest to get into the role.
Like
so,
why?
I don't know.
Like what are these people thinking?
I don't know.
For what is David Ayer talking these people into?
I don't know.
Is he like fucking like they think he's Peckinpah or something? Like
And even then, I wouldn't tattoo my whole chest with Peckinpah.
Well, yeah, because Peckinpah was like on cocaine. Like,
yeah. Sam Peckinpah could rise from the grave and be like, Diego, I want you to be an actor and to be in The Wild Bunch 2. And I'd be like, no, thank you.
Yeah. And then he pulls a gun on you.
Yeah. And I'd be like, well, I'll think about it.
And then just you change identities to get away from undead Sam Peckinpah. That's the only way.
This is kind of like The Wild Bunch is not as grotesque as this, but it's very like aggressive and kind of vile.
Yeah.
And maybe he was trying to do that.
I think The Wild Bunch at least gets to like the ultimate sadness at like the heart of its characters, you know?
Yeah, well, there's that whole aspect where it's like, yeah, these people are like horrible monsters, but like this is kind of what they needed to be to survive in the world. And even if they enjoyed it too much, it's like they had like nothing else, and it recognizes that deep sadness. And here it's just like they're fucking awesome.
Yeah, we get like glimpses of that. Like they say like one of them was like a criminal that like turned good or something like that.
Yeah, because everyone knows once you go from a criminal to a cop, then everything's okay.
Yeah, but they all just feel like those dudes you knew in high school who were just like too into guns, you know? And they all looked like a strong wind could like knock them over. Like, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And they're not like cool. And they're not like compellingly tragic. Like, there's no part of me that's like, they're clearly hiding something, you know? Like, they're just kind of assholes. And they act like assholes and they feel like assholes. And then, like, they die like assholes. Like,
yeah. I guess we could just kind of run down through the deaths then, because there's some really fucked up ones.
I should mention there's, like, a moment of transphobia in this movie that gets just thrown out there very quickly.
I must have erased that from my mind, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's the guy who dies next. Like, they make a joke about him. He's like, he doesn't like cops because he got caught having sex with a trans sex worker. Ha ha ha. They don't say it like that. They did not use any of the polite language I just used. And it's like, who would ever debase themselves by having sex with a man?
David Ayer, everyone.
Goddamn. Let me see some of these lines I wrote down real quick. I fucking missed earlier, like, maybe the most disgusting line in this film. Because Arnold's crew is being investigated, because everyone's like, we know you stole the money, but, like, they can't really prove it, right? Mm-hmm. And Arnold's crew ultimately doesn't have the money because of everything that's gone down, like, because someone stole it. So the superior's meeting with them. Arnold thinks he's getting fired. The guy's like, no, we're closing the investigation because even though we all know you did it, we can't prove it. And the head guy says, the only thing anyone in law enforcement has is their credibility. It's like virginity. Once it's gone forever. And then Arnold's like,
wow.
And then Arnold's like, when'd you lose yours? So what it's saying is that cops are a bunch of sluts.
Well, look, for me personally, I don't think anything in the film tops, we had to go and finger the devil's pussy.
Yeah, but that's not, like, offensive. That's just,
no,
like,
it's
disgusting.
not, but it's just like, what?
This is
Where did that come from?
This is one of the most revealing lines I've ever seen in a film. Not of the movie itself, just of, like, the people making it. It reveals, like, anything you need to know about how they view women and, like, the government. Like,
yeah.
That's disgusting.
It's not great.
And also there's, like, a whole thing before that where the guys are, like, pissing in jars. Remember those two guys?
Oh, what the fuck? No.
They have to follow Arnold all day. And, like, the guy's like,
yeah.
I gotta piss. And the guy's like, well, just piss in this. And he's got, like, a whole fucking thing full of piss.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Like, what is this movie's, like, again, it feels like it was written by a child. Like, that's obsessed with, like, bodily fluids. It's like Kevin Smith. Like,
I don't know. I'm glad Kevin Smith doesn't do anything like this.
Yeah, but, like, it's like if Kevin Smith was, like, evil. Like, Kevin Smith's just a dopey guy, but this would be like if he was genuinely evil.
I don't know, because, like, you know, at the very least, if, like, the other federal agents were, like, evil in their own way, like, he didn't have them pissing in jars like that, too, it'd be like, look, if it was, like, a truly ACAB film, it'd be like, look, everyone has, like, variety to their evil. They're all evil in their own way, and that's bad. But here, it's just, like, they're all grotesque and disgusting.
And here, like, occasionally they'll be like, you know what the problem is? The bureaucracy. Which is always like those people who are like, cops have it hard, so stop giving them oversight. Like,
have you seen that TikTok of that one police officer who's like, I'm tired of being told that we're all bad. We're not all bad. Some of us are good. And it's like, but you still said some.
That's, yeah.
You know? So, like, deep down, you do know.
That is hysterical. Like, even he couldn't say the majority of us are good. Like, for a fucking TikTok video, like, no one was gonna follow up on his comment. Like,
oh, yeah.
Also,
that guy should have been in this movie.
Here's the thing I just don't, like, fully understand. Like, they're, like, a DEA, like, special ops team, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, like, are they, like, mercenaries that were, like, contracted by the DEA?
No.
Or
You're thinking of Predator.
Yeah, but, like, that's the thing. It's like, but I don't understand, like, where they fit in the hierarchy of everything. But what I do know is that none of these people should be cops. Like, no matter how you slice it. And it's like, man, they got a hard job. And it's like, fuck yeah, they do. They shouldn't be cops then. Like, because these guys do not hold up under pressure. No. They went drinking one night at a strip club and picked a fight. Like, because, like, you don't understand, these are broken men. And it feels like, and it's like, it mostly feels like they're doing this to themselves. Like, it doesn't feel like the job is doing this so much. Which
kind of is what makes it such an interesting movie, in my opinion. But again, all accidental.
Yeah.
I don't trust anyone who worked on this film behind the scenes to ever do something this entertaining ever again. It's a 1 in a million shot, and you hit it.
And it's his biggest flop, right? Like, except for the new Shia LaBeouf one.
Yeah, and I mean, look, in all seriousness, COVID probably fucked that up too.
Yeah.
In general, so.
Yeah, to be fair to David Ayer.
Yeah, the one time. I think I gave him 2 today, so.
Hey, we're saying this is an okay movie. That's more than he deserves. Like,
I think it's a great film.
Yeah, like, I just don't know. Like, that's the thing where it's like, this is one of those ones where, like, I just don't know where I'd put it on a scale, you know?
Oh yeah, no.
Right.
It's a 1-star or a 5-star. You know what? To go to another Arnold movie, kind of like True Lies. True Lies is, like, directed.
Yeah.
It's one of the best directed films you'll ever watch, but it is also, like, repugnant and obnoxious, and, like,
True Lies is like we gotta have a talk about James Cameron. Like,
oh no, totally. There's some dialogue in that movie too, but however, people don't tend to talk about it that way unless you're, like, in the film Twitter circles for some reason, because everyone just remembers that as, like, a really fun, entertaining movie. There's a lot of nostalgia about that movie.
Well, that movie's loved by divorced dads. I wonder why.
Oh yeah.
And, like,
I mean, to quote my pal Josh Lewis's Letterboxd review of it, it's very clearly written by a dude who's been divorced like 4 times.
Yeah.
Because you can get past that.
That's the fun thing about Cameron, is that you can always tell when he's going through a divorce. Like, when you're watching his movies, you can tell when he's just been remarried and when he's going through a divorce.
Yeah, like he's been married for a while now, right?
I think so, but he still had like, I think
maybe
he had,
the Avatar sequels won't be that good then.
I think he had 1 or 2 more marriages after fucking True Lies. Like,
yeah, I know, but I need him. Come on, dude. You're making 4 more Avatars. Let's go.
Hey, those might be the thing that breaks him. You know?
That'll make him really good.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm so sorry. That's a terrible joke.
True Lies is, yeah, that's a weird movie of just like.
We're quoting some shit from Sabotage, and there's one line that is so morally awful in True Lies that I wouldn't dare quote it on air. I will say it's the Bill Paxton line when he's explaining who he's seeing to Arnold when they're driving around. I cannot believe more people don't talk about how terrible and disgusting that line of dialogue is.
When he's describing like what they look like.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's like, whoa.
There's like,
fuck did that come from?
There's like a very specific one. Like,
and look, you'll know it when you hear it.
And to be fair, Arnold reacts to that kind of. Like that's the one that's like, all right, that went over the edge for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're supposed to think that character's repugnant, to be fair.
Yeah, but like, whoa.
I'm surprised Tom Arnold isn't the one saying like the worst thing in the movie. I was just saying like, what kind of sick bitch takes the ice cube trays out of the freezer? Oh, Tom Arnold.
You know why they canceled the sequel, right?
Because Tom Arnold?
No, because of 9/11.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, got it in there.
That's another one of those movies where it's like, even James Cameron, who's like kind of like the liberal like action director, and it's like even he hates Muslims, and it's like, oh no, like.
Look, he's not perfect.
Too bad True Lies was a hit, or else we could do it. Arnold has like no one-liners in this, which is actually kind of refreshing.
Oh, because remember they wanted to play it like as a serious dramatic role.
Yeah, sure.
That's definitely what they tried, and it makes for an interesting performance, but it's not like
fingered the devil's pussy.
Well, that's Joe Manganiello. Okay, so I mentioned that he's also one of my favorite characters in the movie, and I think there's this interesting like dynamic with him and the team because none of these people have a moral compass, but he's the one who's like, we shouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
And it provides like this really interesting conflict in the middle of this like grisly, disgusting affair.
And I believe he's the character where they're like, he used to be a criminal or something.
Yeah, I think so. And the fact that he's the one saying that then makes it even more interesting, you know?
He's also the one that's like slightly dialed down. Like, he's like, he definitely like gets up to some shit, but like he's like, they have the devil's pussy line. But
yeah.
He's like, there's like this scene in it where they're all kind of like in the clubhouse together, and then they're like, your tattoo looks like a dick, ah! And it goes on forever. And he's kind of the one who's like not yelling.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just because he's a good actor. God damn, this is a fucked up movie.
It's incredibly fucked up. We kind of skipped over some of the deaths, but
who gets killed next?
Josh Holloway.
Holloway. They go to him for like a follow-up question because he was deflecting because he kept calling Olivia Williams a stripper. That's actually, you know what? That's a scene where it's like, I don't know if it's smart, like where they keep trying to force her to drink, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, lady, drink, show us what you got, you know. And, like, you think it's going to be one of the things where, like, she's going to, like, down the beer, like, in one go, you know?
Mm-hmm.
To be like, oh, she can handle it with the boys. But instead she takes the beer, shakes it up, and sprays it on them. And, like, that's somewhat, like, a more intelligent way to handle that scene. Where it's like she never backed down, you know? Like, she's, like, the first person they've really come in, like, face-to-face with who, like, won't back down. And that's, like, kind of interesting.
Yeah. There's these interesting flourishes of, like, character stuff in this weird fucking movie.
And I will say how weird it is that to see an actress who I believe at the time was in her mid-40s and is, like, the romantic interest of the film.
she's the romantic interest, and we're supposed to take her like, like basically like a co-lead of the film almost.
Yeah.
And Olivia
Arnold,
Williams, great actress, and I think she does a great job here too.
I think the problem is that like Arnold was like in his 60s when this came out.
Yeah.
So I think it was one of those things where like the sleazier option would have just been like an actress in her 30s, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So somewhere someone was like, nah, it's got to be older, and they went 40s, and they're like, fine.
That's a senior citizen for women, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Right,
I mean, that's Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean that does suck. Like, ideally, it would have at least been like an older actress, like in a perfect world, But Olivia Williams is definitely not the problem with it.
She's a British actress, right?
Yeah.
Like she's doing like a southern accent that kind of comes and goes.
Yeah.
She's doing her best, and I think she's good. I think she's solid. Which is like a weirdly written character.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the women are written weird in this movie. And I
feel like it's one of those things where they wrote them as men, and then they were like, "Oh, we gotta
See, I'm not sexist. I just changed it to a woman."
Yeah.
That's how like people think. It's that weird like, how do we empower women? And it's like make them like men. Mm-hmm. And it's like that's not how that works.
Mm-hmm. And like I was saying, the Lizzie Murray character was like my favorite character in the film because she's just like. She might be the worst of the bunch almost. Mm-hmm. And, like that is a very like cheap like male writer thing to do to change like the sex of the character and be like, oh, see, there you go. But here, I think it kind of provides like this other dichotomy where she has to like to fit in with the boys, so to speak. She has to become even worse than them.
Yeah.
And that's how she feels she needs to survive.
I guess. Maybe that's the way the actress is playing it. I'm not sure if that's how it's written.
No. Yes. The actress.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That might be the most interesting character thing in a David Ayer film, like, by a lot. And so, I don't know. That's why. Just shout out to Marielle Enos. Because I think she's just so good in this.
This movie did her no favors.
None whatsoever.
Yeah. Neck is violently murdered. He's, like, stapled to the ceiling.
Yeah, and then his like intestines are hanging out and shit. It's pretty vile.
And Olivia Williams' reaction to it, like, cause she slips in the blood, is like, "Help me up, pussy!" Like, it's like really weird. Like, it's. I think she's supposed to be shocked, but like she doesn't play it too shocked.
Yeah.
Like, which like I don't care how long you're on law enforcement, slipping in like someone's intestines is probably gonna shake you up a little bit. Mm-hmm. But that's how deep in the shit these people are. Again, that's the problem where it's like the homicide detectives are written the same way as the DEA agents.
Yeah.
So it's like, is everyone just fucked up? Like, and that's when they start going, it must be the cartel doing this. The cartel knows we stole the money. We don't know where the money went, but they're probably pissed about the stolen money. So they're picking us off one by one.
And then next they go to visit Joe Rogan.
Not Joe Rogan. Yeah, not Joe Rogan. Which that character has such little character. They had to show a clip of his interrogation again, right before that scene, with the name Tripod written under his name again, not in the font that was on the interrogation tape. Font in the movie, like. It's
character is not this film's strong. Writing is not this film's strong suit. The character stuff comes from like the very committed actors and actresses.
Yeah. It's commitment to just the worst shit. But yeah, and there's a pretty good. I like the sequence of like happening upon an action scene after it's already happened, and then seeing what they think happened.
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty good like red herring moment.
I'm wondering if that was something that was changed in post production too.
Maybe it does feel like like someone was like, we got to have some fucking gunfights in the trailer. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise we will spoil the film.
Yeah, because there's really no action until like the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, there's not a ton, but like it looks like Tripod was murdered by the cartel.
That's when Breacher reunites everyone, and Lizzie's like freaking out, and then tells her husband that she's been having an affair with Terrence Howard.
There's a lot of just pornographic violence against Mexicans.
Yeah, it's not the best.
This is when we get the reveal that the snuff film we saw in the beginning was footage of Arnold's family. And then we get clips of Arnold's family that feel like it was from a bigger movie. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, those clips feel like they were part of scenes that were then cut. Whatever keeps the movie shorter, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is 109 minutes.
Yeah.
That's about... You know what? That might even be too long for this movie.
Uh-huh.
I think it would be, like, perfect if it was a solid 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And
we get that Arnold then, like, for, like, however long, just went on, like, a rampage, just killing all the people he thought were responsible, and never got the guy ultimately responsible. That's, like, the big reveal, I guess.
Yeah, quote-unquote big. There's a couple that they try to pull over this. But I think this is when the film becomes, like, a schlock masterpiece.
Uh-huh.
When it's just, like, kind of every man, woman for themselves.
Yeah. Well, first Arnold goes over to Olivia's place after they have a fight because, like, he didn't tell her about the whole I went on a killing spree thing. And he just, like, confronts her swimming naked in her pool, which I don't own a pool, but do people who own pools do that?
If they had a more private residence, maybe?
I guess it didn't really look that private, though.
No,
it looked
didn't.
like it looked like if you, like, had like just like we're on a ladder, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's what people... You know, Ben Franklin used to run around his estate naked. And he used to say he was taking air baths.
I don't think that's how that worked, Ben.
Well, he helped found this country.
Huh.
These are the minds that helped found America.
You dare speak ill of the founding fathers? Yes, I would, actually.
I mean, I think Ben Franklin, like, bankrupted himself, like, 3 times, so... Oh, Ben.
What a fucking guy.
I mean, hey, he's one of, like, 3 founding fathers who didn't own slaves, so...
We'll take the ones we can get at this point.
Yeah, it's like him and John Adams. And no one liked him.
The Breacher and Olivia Williams... I can't even remember the character's name. Olivia Williams' character.
Lizzie.
They end up... No, Lizzie is...
all right. Oh, yeah, Olivia Williams. She's Investigator Brentwood.
Thank you. Yeah, they hook up.
Her and Arnold, like, sleep together.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole, like, thing next morning where it was like, damn, girl. Ah.
Yeah. I guess that just is trying to show, like, how trashy everyone is. Not her sleeping with Arnold.
I think this is just how David Ayer thinks the world is.
Maybe. Because, like, that it's either that or he might be a genius. This one time only. You know?
Yeah, I all evidence points to the contrary. I just think he would be exhausting to hang out with.
No, yeah, I never want to meet him. Ever.
Weird guy. What did he get up with? Didn't he, like... What was the movie he was like... Oh, remember he said, like, fuck Marvel at the premiere of, like, Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
That was weird.
That was very weird. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. It was, like, high energy. I was really hyped up to premiere this film that I worked really hard on.
Who are these people that defend that movie? Like, that, like, here's, like, BVS, like, has shit to it, you know? Like, there's nothing going on in Suicide Squad that's worth a damn. It's, like, incidental. I'm looking at the poster, and I'm just like, how dare you? The thing is, the new one's going to come out, the James Gunn one, and people aren't going to like it because everyone's exhausted. And then people are going to reevaluate. They're going to reevaluate fucking Suicide Squad.
I know what the big thing is going to be, too. They're going to be like, well, at least the original was shot on film. That's why it looks so good. And then you'll realize people have never actually seen the film because it looks like fucking dog shit.
Suicide Squad was shot on film?
Yeah, but I mean, you know, that stuff doesn't matter.
That's you know? Insulting, though.
Yeah, like, it comes down to, like, lighting and post-production and all that shit, but, like, it doesn't matter. Mm. Like, especially with that film. Like, what a waste.
It's going to be exhausting.
Yeah, but whatever. I mean, this film is a little exhausting, too.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's, like, again, thankfully it's under 2 hours. Like, that was my worry going into it. I honestly didn't remember how long it was. Even though I just rewatched it recently. For fucking whatever reason.
Because it's on Netflix now. That's why I rewatched it.
Now my dad just put it on one day.
Oh, what did he think?
We saw it in theaters together.
Oh, okay,
And
great.
we're both like, we like it, but we don't know why. Like, we're both kind of in the same boat. Of just like, we're kind of baffled by it. My dad just likes violence, though. So, like, his is like an easy. Maybe that's just it. All it is for me. I just enjoy the violence of this film.
Have you seen Den of Thieves yet?
You know what? I haven't. It's on the list.
Okay. I think you'd like it.
It's one of those ones.
It's sleazy than this.
Yeah, it's one I'm like, I have like a list of films that I'm saving for like when my family's bothering me for movie night, so I can just like go like, oh, put Den of Thieves on.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Although my dad made a good choice with who's the fucking Hills Have Eyes guy? He just had a new movie.
Alexander Aja?
Yeah, Aja, I think.
Aja.
Yeah, he had a new movie called Oxygen.
Oh, was that good?
I liked it.
Okay.
Although
I like him.
It was ridiculously complicated for me to get it in the original French language through Netflix, but after that, it was very good.
Yeah, I like him as a filmmaker, and I really liked Crawl.
Yeah, it's a little bit like kind of Crawl adjacent, like it's like a little bit like Crawl, but without
Crawl 2049.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's interesting. It was interesting, and I didn't expect it. So, yeah, you know, every now and then you find something good on Netflix, like Sabotage.
Like Sabotage, yeah. This is when everyone starts really like betraying each other. Lizzie kills her husband.
Yeah, that happens at some point. Well, no, first, she snipers. What's his name?
Oh, Grinder, because
Yeah,
he's
gonna admit
he's
something.
Gonna turn them in and shit.
Yeah, he's gonna admit something important, and then he gets to like, we can protect you, and like almost like it's a comedy shot. He gets his fucking brains blown out.
Yeah.
Oh, they also do like a raid on like a cartel group, and it's like a long scene of them like terrorizing black people for a long scene, and then they just happen to find like drug dealers, but then it turns out it wasn't the drug dealers they were after. And then we get the important detail, which is that like these bodies float up from underwater. That they match the guys that were found, the body that was found at Tripod's place, but they're a week old, which means they were killed like before this shit started happening. So that doesn't make any sense. So that's like the first sign that like it's not the cartel. The cartel's being framed for everything.
And what do you know? Turns out that Lizzie and Sugar were planning on escaping together.
It doesn't really make sense when you break it down, but I guess the idea is that she was just so fucked up on like meth or whatever. I feel like David Ayer might be one of those guys who thinks pot can like do real damage to you.
He saw Reefer Madness and he was like 3 and it just like fucked him up.
He tried to overdose with a joint once.
Goodbye, cruel world.
Yeah.
No, but I think they try to play it like as like a tragic scene when she kills her husband, Sam Worthington.
Yeah, it is this scene where it's like she's like she didn't mean to do it, like she lashed out and like because she's just a crazy drug-addled woman who's just making irrational decisions, which is like that
women
part...
be shopping.
Yeah, it's like it's weird, and then she's like, "Oh, I didn't mean to do it." It's also, I think, supposed to be shocking that that's how Sam Worthington goes out, you know, and then. Really what you do is you get the end credits and you're like, that was Sam Worthington?
You know, I will say is like a genuine leap from the like attempt at tragedy is when his body is stuffed into the fridge.
Yeah, I know.
Just like, wait, whoa.
And then we get like a final car chase where like multiple civilians die.
Oh my, this is incredible.
Which,
there's that. Because one, I will say, I think this is like an actually pretty good action scene.
No, it is. And it's like, I think David Ayer like starts to shine when like they're fucking up, you know? Like the car chase isn't like going off without a hitch. Like they keep hitting the curb, like they can't make the turns well. Like the ridiculous thing is her sitting in like the back of the like trunk with a machine gun. But like it's other than that, it's like got like a genuinely kind of like grounded vibe to it, you know, that I think helps. Which is then on top of that, where like people are just getting like pancaked and like
there's so much like just destruction and
just
carnage from the
incidental
streets.
violence, like.
But what kills me, Lizzie and Sugar, they crash. Their car crashes into a biker whose head smashes into the windshield.
Yeah.
And so he can't see through the blood. So Terrence Howard goes out when he crashes into the back of a pickup truck, and it like shears through their car, killing him and like mangling Lizzie's
she's
body.
mortally wounded at that point.
I was like cackling. That was unbelievably stupid, and I loved it so much.
It's just great that the chase ends without Arnold really doing anything.
Yeah, no, it was an accident.
Yeah, he hit a guy. That guy's the real hero. Unnamed biker. Unnamed biker.
They got into such a bad wreck at the end of that chase that, like, that dude and Terrence Howard's remains are probably, like, mixed up with each other. Oh, yeah,
now. they're just gone. It's closed casket.
It was so gross.
It's disgusting. And then that's the thing where it's like they run up and then they're like, "Why'd you do it, Lizzie?" And she was like, "'Cause you guys stole the money and didn't give me any of it." And it's like, "I knew you fuckers were lying. You stole the money." And that's when Arnold's like, "No, I stole the money." And I do like that he kind of delivers it in a matter-of-fact way. Like, I'm not sure if that's just Arnold's limits as an actor or if, like, that was a choice.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an interesting one. And then, like, Olivia Williams is like, "What the fuck?" And, like, she kind of has, like, a freak out where, like, she can't believe that Arnold was the one that took the money the whole time. And, like, I think we're supposed to be as shocked as her, but we're, like, kind of like... I mean, I kind of saw that coming. But then the funniest thing in it is her freaking out, and they cut back to Arnold, and Arnold literally slides out of the frame. It's like he just slides out, and then he's gone. It's like, he's right here. Where'd he go? Like, it's literally that. And then it's like, oh, look at the carnage. Look at the blood. And then we find out Arnold took the $10 million to pay for information on the location of the guy who tortured and murdered his family.
Now, before we talk about that last scene, I have to talk about a deleted scene from the film.
Uh-huh.
Breacher and Investigator Brentwood have one final moment together after that. Do you know about this scene?
No, I don't.
So Arnold's packing up in the car, getting ready to go. He's got his rifle and stuff next to him. She pops up in his windshield, and she's like, "Put your hands in the air or the wheel, whatever, right?" And he's like, "Why'd you do it?" Yada yada. He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go." And she's like, "No, you're not." And like, "Okay, put your gun down. Don't touch anything." And he kills her, and then drives off.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is a good scene to cut. Because that would, like, genuinely ruin the movie. Like, I would abandon this film at that moment.
You don't need it. Just like it's weird to talk about it this way, but like in like the dramatic sense, I like the image of her and her partner being stuck with like just this wreckage of everything left behind.
No, it's good. But this is the thing where it's like, all right, so Arnold, he stole the money so he could pay for information on the guy that like that tortured and killed his family. What are we supposed to feel about any of this?
I don't know. I think we're supposed to be like, yeah, it's fucking badass.
I don't know if that, because I honestly don't know if David Ayer is like a fucking badass type guy. Like, I think he thinks he's like cutting to like an emotional core here.
I don't know.
But I don't know if he's like, look at the lengths this man will go, or like, it really doesn't feel like revenge is destructive is the message, you know? Mm-hmm. If we're trying to explain why the fuck this movie's called Sabotage.
Oh yeah, I got nothing.
I mean, maybe it's like they sabotage themselves.
They sabotage each other.
Yeah, and it's like, I honestly don't understand. Like, if Arnold had been like, I took the $10 million because I can use it to like get the guy who killed my family. Like that, the team felt pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where, like, they might have taken that bullet for him, you know?
Yeah.
Like, where did this come from? Where, like, he was like, no, I can't tell him that. And maybe that's what, there's a scene where, like, they're cleaning up Arnold after his rampage that also feels like it was maybe a longer scene. So maybe there was, like, another version of this where, like, we explain why they wouldn't be okay with him, like, going back. But the movie feels like it's like, okay with him doing this, you know? which is what, like, it just throws, like, it just puts another thing on top of a thing and just, like, goes, like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about any of this. But I think this movie thinks it's getting, like, redemption through violence, you know?
Yeah.
But it's 100% not doing that. And it's just, like, this is how destructive, like, white guy fantasies are. Like, all you're going to succeed at is getting yourself, all your friends, enemies, and innocent bystanders killed. Like, that's all that will ultimately be accomplished here.
I will say, I laughed my ass off at the ending because Arnold does find the guy, right? He follows him into the bathroom, shoves his head
All right.
into an ice-caked urinal.
Yeah, and then we get, I said that other line earlier was the worst.
Mm-hmm.
This might be the worst. This might be the worst line in the worst exchange in the movie between the guy and Arnold. He says, like, there's like, you just won't bring your family back. He says some shit like that. He's like, I was the last to have her. You can never get that back. Which I don't even need to say what that says.
Yeah, that's horrible.
That's horrible. And then Arnold's response is, I could kill your family, but I'm not like you. And that's why America's the greatest country on earth.
I lost it at the I'm not like you line.
Yeah,
immediately followed by him shooting that man in the head, shooting the next man that walks in the door, shooting several innocent bystanders at the bar while he was trying to kill the last remaining cartel guards. Mm-hmm. Blood dripping at his side, has a glass of whiskey and lights up a cigar as the sirens and the music build in the background as we cut to black. Holy fuck.
All right, I have to point out another movie this reminds me of.
Okay.
And this will be the most obscure reference I think I make on this show. This reminds me of the hit film, not really hit, it was a big flop. The hit film Penn and Teller Get Killed.
Oh my god.
Have you seen Penn and Teller Get Killed?
No.
It was directed by Arthur Penn, who did fucking Bonnie and Clyde. It's his last movie. It's the only feature film, I believe, starring Penn and Teller. Like they were trying to do like a Pee-wee thing with Penn and Teller, I think. And it's a black comedy. And the plot of the movie is that like Penn and Teller keep pranking each other, but then there's like a real assassin after them, right? So like you don't know where it begins and where it ends, right? Like you don't know what's a prank and what isn't. And the end of the movie, spoilers for Penn and Teller Get Killed. The end of the movie is, it turns out it was all a prank orchestrated by Penn to pull on Teller for his birthday as a surprise birthday thing. But at the last minute, Teller gets a hold of a real gun and shoots Penn and kills him. And then, grief-stricken, Teller turns the gun on himself. And then the end of the movie implies that because of this scene of Penn and Teller being killed, everyone involved in the prank starts killing themselves. And it's possible that the suicides and murders just keep going on until everyone on Earth is killed.
Wow.
So truth in advertising, first of all. But that's a movie where Penn and Teller, who are like magicians who are known for kind of like doing like pranks and like, you know, doing silly things and playing with the audience. So they decided to make a film that's like, don't prank your friends because you'll get everyone killed. And that's what Sabotage kind of feels like. Don't be so focused on revenge because you're just going to get all your friends killed. We could do Penn and Teller Get Killed.
We don't have to.
I don't think it's ever been released on DVD. I think it's one of those few movies where it's like only VHS. Which is just weird still.
That is weird.
Especially
there are
like
a couple out there like that.
Yeah, and Penn and Teller kind of had a renaissance like a few years ago, so I'm surprised there wasn't like a nostalgia thing for it.
It could still happen.
Maybe. But yeah, Penn and Teller both die. They get shot. And it's like
that's Sabotage.
It's not funny either, which is what makes it great. Yeah, that's, like it's just like sad.
Oh, you were explaining it like a comedy.
Yeah, it is a comedy, but that last scene is played 100% straight. And it ends with the Bee Gees' "I Started a Joke," which played over the Suicide Squad trailer.
Wow. Yes, it did.
And then it even ends with a monologue from Payne explaining that, yep, they're dead. And then don't take this shot of the film, the camera, because like rising in the air. He's like, and we're definitely not going to heaven because suicide's a mortal sin. It's like murder and suicide are sins. So we're not going to heaven. And that's how the movie ends. And that's what happens here. Because Arnold shoots all the guys, and then he sits down at the bar and presumably dies.
I think this is a prequel to The Last Stand.
Maybe.
And The Last Stand is about Arnold redeeming himself from the atrocities in this film.
I mean, I could see that.
Yeah.
Hanging out with Johnny Knoxville for a few years.
Yeah, and he's just trying to be a good guy in that film.
But he doesn't deserve redemption, is the problem.
No, he doesn't.
He absolutely doesn't. So, like, that would ruin Last Stand.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe this is too vile for Last Stand.
Like, that's the thing. I just don't know where this movie falls, but, like, it's rare to see a film that is this engaging where every character is evil. Like, save maybe Olivia Williams.
Yeah, there's that saying that, like, you have to love the characters you're writing and stuff like that. You can't tell a story unless you really love, like, everything in it. Uh-huh. You don't have to endorse everything in it, but you have to love it. I cannot imagine sitting down to write these characters and being like, yeah, I care about them. They're part of me.
But how can Beavis and Butthead exist if that's true?
No, I'm not even, like, endorsing that as, like, 100% the way to go all the time, but I just think of that, Like, when it comes to this film, like, it definitely doesn't apply here.
You know the original ending of Beavis and Butthead, they were supposed to die?
Really?
Yeah, like, I think that was the original idea, and then, like, they got, like, cold feet at the last second.
Oh.
But don't worry, they're coming back for Paramount Plus.
Are they really?
Yeah, that'll be their second return.
Oh, okay.
After Comedy Central. Remember they did, like, 1 year? Like, it was weird. They had a weird, like, revival where, like, they came back and they tried to do the whole thing, but it just failed.
Kind of. I never saw a lot of Beavis and Butthead, though.
Oh, man, Beavis and Butthead holds up.
Okay.
Mike Judge shit mostly holds up. It's like Idiocracy is, like, the one miss.
How's, what was this fucking HBO show?
Silicon Valley?
Silicon Valley. Yeah, I saw the first season and I liked it.
Yeah, that's same. I only watched the first season. And then it was like,
I'll get back to it. The legendary dick joke in that.
Yeah, I was like, I'll get back to that eventually, and then, like, multiple people that are involved with that show have been, like, exposed as assholes.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Like, oh, maybe not.
So maybe that one's not even on him,
Yeah.
Yeah, but King of the Hill, like, that's, like, legendary.
Yeah, King of the Hill is, like, for some reason, like, hung in there and, like, lasted, like, 10 years. Like,
yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I never saw those last couple seasons, so
I heard it was
I got
good.
that waiting for me someday.
Yeah,
I wonder what Hank Hill would have thought of Sabotage.
I don't think he would have liked it, honestly.
Oh,
Bobby. Nudity,
dang
Bobby.
it, David Ayer, I'm going to kick your ass. That's Sabotage.
Yes,
horrendous work of art. Made on accident.
Yeah, I don't know if I endorse this film, frankly. But there's nothing fucking like it, honestly. There's some repugnant fucking movies out there. But this, like, it shatters, like, the glass ceiling on repugnancy. Like, it comes full circle where it's like, you can watch this movie because you hate everyone in it. Like, I don't know. I've never seen a movie that engaging where you can hate all the characters.
We may never see another film of its like again. And at the very least, we can appreciate that.
It might slowly be becoming a cult classic. Like, I think exploitation fans really latched onto it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that happening, like, really quickly. Now, unfortunately, as we learned with Grindhouse, the exploitation audience is like a fraction of the film-going audience, so that wasn't going to help. But
yeah,
it's just it was just shocking. It's still shocking, even now. Like, almost 7 years later. Like,
Yeah, like I do pretty good when it comes to like cinematic violence or like grotesquities. You know, like if someone throws up on screen, I'm like, yeah, it's fake, whatever. It doesn't bother me. I could eat while I'm watching that or whatever. I don't know about this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty disgusting. Like we're saying that a lot, but I don't think I'm stressing enough. It is genuinely repugnant.
We really probably couldn't like get away with describing some of the stuff that happens in this.
Yeah.
Like we would be like hung in the streets. Like they're coming for us. Cancel culture. David Ayer was right.
No. 5 stars from me.
It's that thing where like when I make my best of the year list, it's like at the very end, but like without a star rating. Where I'm like,
That's fair.
I just have to put this here.
I just need people to know it exists at the very least. But I guess that's it for this week's show. Any final thoughts?
Don't finger the devil's pussy.
No. Okay. Matt, where can the people find you?
I'm at EmperorOTN at Twitter.com and Twitch.
And you can find me at the Diego Crespo. Check out the Waffle Press on Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and Patreon. We're going to get early access to the rest of these episodes in this mini retrospective. We'll be doing Legend of Korra at the same time as this, so you'll get some early stuff there too. Matt, what are we talking about next week?
What are we talking about next week?
Really, we're talking about Scott Pilgrim, but I'm in the one after that.
Is this over?